Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Soul Seeds, where Jessica is my guest expert for today. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Hi. And Jessica, you're an intuitive guide and a medium, and the topic we are going to discuss today is spirit guides. So I'm all about spirit guides. I love them.
Me too.
Love to know. I know we all have spirit guides, but not everyone is like tapped into that like awareness. But we all have spirit guides, right?
Correct. Yes, we all have them, and they come with us at birth.
Mm.
So our core group, what I call our inner band spirit guides, they're with us from when we're figuring out and planning our life to into the life, the actual life, the birth, and all the way through death and into the life review portion
Mm.
of the adventure. So
And do they like change, or or the group of spirit guides, does it grow? How does that work?
So, no, it's a great question. So, I have two things. One is an inner band set of guides, and that is pretty standard. They don't change. They come in with you and they're yours and only
Mhm.
yours. And then we have the outer band guides, and that is a more revolving door. And they come based on your needs and what's coming up in your life, what your challenges are, what you're attempting to achieve or wanting to bring to fruition. And you'll have like almost like those specialty bands kind of with the outer
Mhm.
band guides that come in. So the beautiful part about our inner band guides though is that they understand what we're here to learn. They understand, kind of how we want to express our purpose, why we decided to incarnate at this time, because they were helping us with that life planning process.
Mm.
And they were human.
Right.
At one point, they were human, which I think when you're looking at angels who are very helpful and other energetic beings, there's something about having guides that know what it's like to be in the human body on planet Earth, trying
Mhm.
to navigate with those, I don't want to say limitations, but just a different way where angels don't
Mhm.
necessarily have that point of view. So I find that spirit guides, especially our inner band guides, are spectacular for giving us help and insight and perspective on the day to day of what's happening and
Mhm.
also on the overarching journey.
And do our like deceased loved ones, or are they also a part of that group of spirit guides?
So usually typically not. So our
Mm.
deceased loved ones can be guides, but they're more like their own little category on our spirit team. So we have a spirit team that's made up of angels. If we work with ascended masters, they might be on there, our ancestors, guardians, allies, crossed over loved ones. They're all on this team along with our spirit guides, but our
Mm.
actually spirit guides are separate from that. It doesn't mean that they don't give us insight. It doesn't mean that they don't help us. It's
Mhm.
just a different role. It's sort of like, how we go and we learn about different things from different teachers and we have different
Mhm.
guides and mentors. It's the same thing with our spirit team. Everyone sort of has their specialty or
Mhm.
the way that they're supporting. And our crossover loved ones are just a little bit different than what our spirit guides offer.
So it really also like shifts when you shift in life. Well, of course, not the core of our spirit team, but yeah, others can come and go. Like maybe even archangels, because I'm familiar with
Correct.
the
Yeah,
archangels. Yeah.
for sure. So our
Mhm.
spirit team has a little bit more of a flexibility depending on what we're focusing on and working on. Where those inner band guides, they're like the heart of it all, right? Along with
Mhm.
our guardian angel. So our
Okay.
guardian angels are with us from birth through death. So they're just really for us, helping us out. So you've got
Mm.
kind of that angelic energy that's with you from the beginning to the next part of the journey, and then our spirit guides do the same thing, and then our
Mhm.
crossover loved ones, obviously, especially if they were alive during when we were alive,
Mhm.
as they cross over, they can fold themselves into the big spirit team, right? Because they
Mm.
wouldn't be present until they've crossed over, and
Right.
so
Right.
that's kind of where things change and adjust.
Mm. Interesting. There's all these layers, like all these levels of
Oh,
angels.
it's yeah, it's amazing and it's wonderful.
Mhm.
And everyone has them. They're
Mhm.
accessible to all of us, which is the beautiful part about it. But we don't
Mhm.
have to work with all of them.
Right. Yeah,
It's
otherwise
our
we'll be quite
choice.
busy, right?
Quite busy, yeah.
Like, oh, I have to talk to this angel and so that one. Yeah, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, 3 hours later, you're just wrapping up connecting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, ooh, I need a rest from all that connection.
Yes.
And is there such a thing as a soul contract that you sign when you come in, or if so, do your spirit guides help you with that?
Oh yeah. So I like to think of it kind of as a soul blueprint,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's multi-dimensional,
Mm-hmm.
and it's constantly changing based on the choices that we make
Mm-hmm.
and the choices that happen around us when we incarnate. But there's the essence of this blueprint where it's like, okay, I want to help this person, right? And we've all had those relationships where it's like we've just know it feels like we've known them forever. And it's kind of a contract in that I'm coming down to help you with this, and you're coming down to help me with this, and we're both going to expand and grow and evolve because of this.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think all soul contracts are made in with the utmost love and intention.
Right.
I don't think that all contracts are executed in that way when we get down here, because
Mm-hmm.
of course we don't remember what that was,
Right.
right? And we go through things that we couldn't possibly guess were going to happen to us. And so sometimes those soul contracts get really murky. But I
Mm-hmm.
think at their heart, at their core, they were meant to be a positive thing,
Mm-hmm.
to help us grow and learn.
Right. They're meant to, but of course we don't know until we actually learn from the experiences we go through, of course.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah. And how can we connect more to our spirit guides, and how do we actually know or feel that we are communicating with them?
Great question. So let's talk about how you might know that they're there, and then I'll give you a really simple process to help you kind of begin connecting.
Mhm.
So I think the easiest way to start is looking at your energetic senses, or those senses that you use to perceive, what they call psychic abilities, even though I put that in quotes.
Mhm.
They're skills, they're energetic skills called clairs.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you'll see something visually in your mind's eye, colors, shapes, things like that. Sometimes clairaudience, you'll hear, and
Mhm.
it could be hearing externally like a radio, or internally in your mind. And then you'll have clairsentience, where you're feeling both physical sensations and emotional sensations. And then you've got your claircognizance, which
Mhm.
is a knowing. And I think that one's the most challenging for people. It's just,
Mm.
I just know that I know that I know. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how I know, but I know.
I,
It's that
I
one's a little
know.
harder to trust. I know,
Yeah.
right? And so our guides sort of use this beautiful mix of these energetic senses while we're out and about in the world.
Mhm.
And they're probably already in play for many of you.
Mhm.
It's just about slowing down and making space to become aware of how
Right.
you work and what the strongest one is that you get.
Mm.
And I think too, when we're journaling, when, we're writing our thoughts down, we get those inspirations. When we're creating things, when we're moving around our day to day and we're getting those signs, I do think that's our spirit guides and other members on our spirit team
Mm.
communicating with us.
Yeah.
And I know that it seems dreadfully boring and easy when I say just slow down and become
Mm.
more aware, but that's really the first step.
Yeah, we don't allow ourselves to slow down and to be still and allow those sense. And we tend to, even what we hear or feel, we tend to label that as, that's probably nothing, or that's just weird, or yeah.
Right, we kind of blow it off, or
Yeah.
or start to second guess it or overthink it. But it is as simple as making room. I mean, how many times we've all done this, where
Mhm.
we're shooting off questions to the universe, to our guides, but we
Mhm.
don't pause and wait for the answer. We
Mhm.
just keep asking, 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 and then immediately wondering why we don't know or have the answer.
Or expect the answer to come in like a certain way, like
In a
or immediate.
100%. Yes. Like you're thinking it's going to come like a feather. It's going to come like a feather, and it comes in like a song on the radio. And you're so focused on that feather, you're not listening.
Yeah.
Right.
I always
And
say,
so
oh,
I
you need
think,
a more shinier sign. Come on.
yes, I say that too. Can I just have a little bit more signier sign? And I
Yeah.
feel them roll their eyes, probably at me. Right. I
Mm.
do 100% agree. I've said that many times. And then they've sent me the same sign again. I was like, all right, got it. Point taken.
The universe constantly just rolls his eyes like,
They
oh my gosh.
do. They do. Our expectations get in our way a lot of times, right? We think it needs to look like this, or we've seen a movie or we've heard someone talk about their guides and we're like, oh, it needs to look exactly like this.
Right.
But I'm going to be honest, when you're watching a professional connect with someone's spirit guides or crossed over loved ones, like it looks wildly different than how I do it for myself. Even though I'm the one doing it, how
Right.
it's quieter, it's softer, it's more part of my inner landscape than my external landscape. And I always tell people it's as easy. I've always got a cup of tea. It's as easy as a cup of tea. I call it my cup of tea solution. And what I mean by that is if you pour yourself a cup of coffee or you pour yourself a cup of tea and you just sit there without any distractions in a place that's quiet, and you just sort of, when I say open yourself up, just let yourself relax. Let your mind kind of drift, focus on the tea, and put a question out there. Put something out there. A lot of times what comes in, especially for those who are claircognizant, is it's almost like thoughts or ideas or inspirations start to drop in and things start to come together in a way that you couldn't have done on your own. We're sitting here with all of these puzzle pieces trying to make them fit. And it's almost like your spirit guides come in and they slide that one piece you were missing. And then all of a sudden everything clicks. And it doesn't take hours. You don't have to raise your vibration to new and incredible heights. You don't have
Don't have
to
to be
learn
zen all the time.
Exactly. You don't have to be zen all the time. Good, thank God.
Otherwise, we
Never
don't be
make
in
it.
trouble.
Right? You don't have to be a master of your clairs. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be simple as a cup of tea and just slowing down for the duration of your tea and letting it come in. Some of the most profound messages I've received or things that have come together in profound ways are just me sitting with a cup of tea, maybe outside if the weather's nice or under the stars. And all of a sudden, it's like everything that was floating around out there all comes center. It all connects, and I'm seeing the bigger picture. And I think that's the beauty of our guides. They're not going to tell us what to do. If
Right.
you're going to be waiting forever if you think they're going to tell you what to do.
Yeah. Like, help me out here. What do I do? Yeah, you have to figure it out
Nope.
yourself.
But what they're going to do is they're going to help you see all the different pieces, and they're going to just kind of pull you out a little bit so that you can see the bigger picture. And sometimes that's really all that we need to be able to make those choices for ourselves. And so it's you don't need a guided meditation. You don't need to see your guides. You don't need to hear your guides. Sometimes it's those points of clarity, that impression that just kind of falls over you, right? That is the most powerful thing.
And do you think, like, when I think of medium, I think of that show, like the Long Island Medium, where this big-haired
Everyone
lady is
does.
popping all this, like, all this info out. I'm like, yeah, okay, it doesn't have to be like that.
No,
You
not
also
at
have to raise.
all. No, especially with our spirit guides. So for example, the other day I was pondering something about my business and I was feeling kind of stuck. I had journaled about it. I had let it sit. I had meditated about it, but things weren't quite coming together. I wasn't getting the angle I needed to see in order to really make headway with it. So I got in my car to drive and I turned the car on and I decided randomly that I love music. I used to be a musical theater actor. So I love music. I love to sing in the car. But instead of singing, I was like, you know what? I really want to listen to a podcast. And in my mind, I had a specific podcast picked out. And I opened it up to go under my library and all the icons rearranged and a different podcast came to the top. And I just felt this nudge to click on the one that I wasn't looking for.
Yeah.
So I touched it. And it popped up. And then I felt the nudge to click on like the second episode down. I don't even know what it was about. And I clicked on it. And within that 20-minute podcast was the viewpoint that I needed. And it changed everything. It was like it wasn't even the answer. It was just the piece I needed to be like, that's what I'm struggling with. I couldn't even name the problem I was struggling with. That's what it is. And then I was like, and I know how to fix it because of my experience. And it just very quietly all came into place. And it all came from this nudge, this knowing or this feeling, this tug on my heart. But I'm like, no, you're right. I need, and I just sort of followed it, right?
Yeah. It's following those little nudges, right?
The little spiritual breadcrumbs, that take you to it's not some big thing. They're just little things. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you.
You're welcome.